Mic check. Can you hear me all right? Oh, great.
I gotta stop doing
All righty.
that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dom and Gonz Sports Talk, the show where we not only talk about everything Ravens, but around the NFL. I'm Gonz, traveling Gonz again. You've got him in the car. I'm driving down the road from Virginia. Nothing better to do than talk Ravens football. So hopefully the connection stays in check, along with my co-host, Dom, who's right above me. And we're here for another post-game live stream edition of Dom and God Sports Talk, where we're going to be breaking down the most recent Ravens game, that being the Sunday night football game last night between the Baltimore Ravens and the Los Angeles Chargers, with the Ravens narrowly escaping with a victory, 20-10 at SoFi Stadium, and thank goodness they did, because, the first thing I just want to say, opening thoughts, this looked like a loss. It looked like another second half collapse on offense. Looked like the Steelers game copy and pasted from week 5. And I'm like, here we go again. A struggling offense, defense doing everything it can to keep us in the game. And they look like they're getting a little bit gassed. But once the Chargers got that ball back, the defense slammed the door in their face, getting that stop on fourth down with Arthur Millette just screaming at Justin Herbert. I thought he was going to get a sack, but Herbert got it out at the very last minute. But thankfully, they were able to pull away with the win. I think the Ravens offense needs to buy that defense extra Christmas gifts this year, because this game was solely on them, in my opinion. I mean, the offense didn't do much in the second half, which is what we've seen before. But they got away with it, and we're going to break it all down. Dom, you got any opening thoughts about last night's game?
Jeez Louise, did we escape one? That game had me on the. We've seen that score before. We've seen that score multiple times. Okay, we have a lead, and then it's over after that. We usually just choke it, but it's good to know that the defense held firm. They stood tall, and we were able to get the dub through adversity. It's going to be nice to be able to break all this down layer by layer, but you are definitely right about the defense being owed some extra Christmas gifts going into this Christmas season, because that offense was stagnant after the first couple of possessions. It was not looking good.
It was not. And I'd like to go back to some of our keys to the game that we talked about on Saturday. That being, for me at least, on the offensive side of the ball, was pass protection, keeping Khalil Mack in check, and they did not keep him in check at all. He was very close to just dismantling the game and wrecking the game in the Chargers' favor. Lamar was under constant duress, and it was really scary. I mean, there was no rhythm on offense aside from the first quarter on their first few drives, and it was really scary. Morgan Moses, Ronnie Stanley, both struggled bad tonight. And even Tyler Linderbaum gave up a big pressure up the middle by Michael Fox. I don't know his first name. But 56 for the Chargers just absolutely spin moved them, got instant pressure up the middle of Lamar, and forced an incompletion and a punt. But yeah, the tackles, offensive line altogether, not a joke at all. That's got to be a lot better. And the thing that's kind of concerning about that is it's the Chargers. It's not good. Again, you can tactically going on down the field, so you can maybe attribute that to Khalil Mack and the other pass rushers kind of getting to Lamar and throwing off the timing. Because when Lamar had some time, they were finding some open people for the most part. But they're going to have to get that offensive line straightened out, over the bye week. Get some much-needed rest. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you're breaking up a little bit though. We're starting to lose you. Can you hear me, Gonz?
Yes, I hear you.
I'm about to tell you, you're cutting in and out. It's like it's a freeze frame on you.
Connection. Yep. Hello? Are we back?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're back.
All right.
We good?
Great.
All right.
Guys, I'm driving down the middle of Virginia with the country road, so if my connection is spotty, I apologize.
Yeah.
My point was just very quickly, I'm just saying the offensive line's got to be better because you can't get down the field if Lamar's getting screamed at by edge rushers every play. I'm going to talk a lot to say about Monken, though. I'm going to go in detail with that in a little bit. But, Dom, what do you think about Ronnie Stanley and Morgan Moses?
Yeah, the offensive line, it was a little bit scary because it was literally just Mac, and that was a little alarming for me. Like, I kind of agree with Jason on this one. Stanley has been scaring me, but scared me a little more last night. It's just Mac. Like, we all know Khalil Mack. We all know he's a game wrecker. Like, he's one of the best pass rushers of his generation. The announcer said it best. I think that was Jason Garrett who said that last night while on commentary. He's one of the better pass rushers of the generation. Like, there's no doubt about that. But it's just the fact that I'm even nervous because what if Bosa was playing last night? Like, that just gives me, like, extra pause for cause because if Bosa and Mack were both playing last night, Lamar would have been in trouble. Like, it's clear as day, Lamar would have been in trouble if Mac and Bosa were playing last night because Mac was a one-man wrecking crew yesterday. There was no doubt about that. Like, 2 sacks on the day. He's up there with sack leaders this year. Like, he surpassed his 20th game with 2+ sacks. He's one of the top people in that class alone. Like, so it was a little alarming for me, the offensive line. I thought the offensive line was going to have a better game than they did yesterday. Lamar was definitely under duress for a good part of that game. I think one of those pressures even forced an intentional grounding. So we even got called for intentional grounding on one of those pressures. Like, it wasn't the best showing for the offensive line. I feel like for pass blocking, it wasn't really the best. I feel like they were showing better for the run blocking more. Keaton had a good game on the ground. Gus, it wasn't his best game on the ground, but he was there for the most part. But yeah, I think we definitely I was not the best game, but I think with the bye week coming in, they can get healthier. They can get some rest going into that game against the Rams.
Yeah, and I also Ronnie Stanley had a tough task coming back from injury.
That
he
is
only
true.
missed, what, one game, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, he got hurt in the
came
Browns
back the next one. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, and that's respect to Khalil Mack, like you said. He's amazing. He's great. He's got double-digit sacks this year. Last night was his 20th game with like at least 3 sacks. So he's very good. Yeah, thankfully they didn't have Bosa, but offensively they did just enough to win. Coaching, not very sharp. Let me go back to the first half where the Ravens had first downs on 2 different occasions, and Harbaugh just doesn't challenge. I don't get it. First one, Lamar does the unbelievable Houdini move and gets a first down, extends the ball over the line of scrimmage before he goes out of bounds. I thought it was a first down, pretty clear on the replay, and Harbaugh doesn't challenge. They go hurry up, go to Wildcat, and he gets stuffed on 4th and inches. Horrible call by Monken, first of all. And second of all, why are you not challenging that? I mean, you're going to win it. You're going to win it. It would have been a first down, and the game might have been a little bit different if they were able to challenge that and win. Because at that point, the Ravens' offense was in pretty good, rhythm. They were moving. And I don't know what Harbaugh was doing there. And the second one, on 2nd and 25, after the intentional grounding, Lamar throws a strike to Nelson Aguilar, rolls over the defender, picks up another first down, and then they don't challenge that one either. I mean, instead, then they call a bubble screen that almost gets pick 6. So I don't know what they're doing there. And then Harbaugh's excuse at the end was, we didn't feel like it was, I don't know. We didn't feel like it was close. We didn't think we got it. Well, on the replay on the television at home, it looked like you got it. And I'm pretty sure that the SoFi Stadium has jumbotrons that show replays. So I don't know if that's on Harbaugh or the coaches upstairs, but I really think they should have challenged that. They really should have challenged both of those, and they would have won both of those. But Harbaugh challenges the illegal or the forward pass, or no, it wasn't. It was a legal lateral, but it looked like a forward pass. They challenged that. That was very, very murky. I don't know why you have two free challenges that you could have won, but they don't choose. They choose to challenge one that is very close, and they lose a timeout. I just don't get it right there. I do not get it. And another thing, back to the offensive coaching, Monken, not his best game. Not his best game. They do not work for this team. I'm just starting to see that. It looks like the backs are unsure where to go, and the blocking is just not there. On some of those tosses to Keaton Mitchell, it looked like he would have had yardage if he kept going all the way around, but they cut it back and get blown up for a loss. It's like the blocking is unsure of what to do, and the backs look like they're unsure of what to do on these tosses. So can them. Just stop running them. Stop running them. Stop running them. Because they will kill us in big moments. Second of all, bubble screens. The Chargers were all over those by the second half. I mean, and you still keep doing them. I don't get the call by Monken. And possibly the biggest issue that I had with Monken was, as I stated earlier, I said the Ravens were in rhythm in the first and second quarter for the most part on offense. Why? Because they were getting the ball out quickly. They were throwing slants to Odell, slants to Bateman. They were doing some nice inside zones out of the same formation, giving it to their backs, running up the middle, taking Khalil Mack out of the play altogether. So why do you not continue to get the ball out fast throughout the game? I feel like Monken started to switch to deeper passes where Lamar has to hold on to the ball for 5 seconds, and Mack just eats up the left tackles and just gets them for pressure. I don't understand. It felt like to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it felt like to me that the game plan switched up midway through the game, and it felt like the Ravens were trying to outsmart the opponent, but they ended up outsmarting themselves with getting too cute with some of this stuff. If the slants and the quick passes are working, keep running them. Don't give Mack a chance to wreck the game. If you throw the ball in less than a second, Mack's not going to get to you. So I don't know why they stopped doing that, and it was working big time on those first two drives, as I stated. Odell was catching stuff. Bateman had some really nice catches over the middle on those slant patterns. Zay Flowers was getting the ball underneath. So I don't get why they switched up and started going deep, shot, when Mack was clearly starting to get comfortable and wreck the game. So I don't know what Monken was thinking there, but you gotta be smart about what's working. If they started keying in on the underneath stuff, then you might want to switch it up. And maybe that's what they did. Maybe the Chargers did adjust on the underneath stuff. But it looked like to me they stopped doing the quick slant patterns and they started going deep a lot more, giving those pass rushers a chance. But I don't know. That's what it looked like to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm starting to think. I would think so too. I mean, I felt as though the early in the game, I felt like the rhythm was already established. Like we were getting, like you said, getting it quickly to Odell, getting it quickly to Bateman. Likely in his first game, having to like truly step up without Andrews, was getting some good catches out there. Great run after catch too from Likely. So I don't really understand why we went away from that, especially if those plays were working. I don't know if the Chargers made those adjustments. I mean, but it's like we the only thing I don't like about those adjustments is that Lamar hasn't really been as consistent with the deep ball this year. Like he's had great passes, don't get me wrong, but we saw another overthrow last night. Maybe one or two overthrows last
Two of
night.
them.
Like yeah, so at that point we have to sit back and be like, okay, we have one guy on this defensive line who is kind of tearing us apart right now, brushing past our double teams. Doesn't really matter who we put on them, and we have to understand that we get the ball out quick, then that works to our advantage. I think that kind of dialed back in that second half when we were trying to make sure we could establish the clock, waste the clock, and try to get the momentum back on our side, especially with that dunk to Keaton Mitchell, kind of close to ice the game. Those passes were working. I don't understand why we went away from that at first. This Chargers defense hasn't really been that great this year, even with Bosa was in the lineup. They were giving up points in bunches. And to come out of here only putting up 20, especially when we have 4 turnovers, the offense, there's definitely something that needs to be said about that. I feel like there should have been a lot more points on the board, and we left points on the board, especially after we can't have 4 turnovers and just 3 points. That's not going to win you football games, especially if we get those turnovers against even better teams and we don't perform. That could come back to bite us. So at that point, the offense needs to it's like I feel like we have the identity, but if we don't stick with that identity, we're not going to go anywhere. Like, we have to stick to what works. Our run game works. We have guys who make great catches and can get some rack after that. Like, we have to take advantage of our playmakers. Bateman has really been coming alive these past couple of weeks. He's been having great catches. He's had a touchdown recently. Odell is really getting into a rhythm here, getting some great catches, great rack. Likely, I know it's been one game, but he's stepping up. Zay is Zay. We have to make sure we're keeping our identity firm. Because if we are inconsistent, if we don't lock in this offense, we're teams are going to pick us apart. And luckily last night, like you said, if Asante Samuel Jr. catches that ball on that bubble screen back for pick 6, we might be having a completely different conversation right now.
That might have been a wrong read by Lamar. It looked like an RPO to me. I think if he would just handed it off to Keaton Mitchell, it would have got the first down. It was on 3rd and inches. But I don't know. If that was a bubble screen all the way, terrible play call.
Play call. I feel as though
maybe it was a wrong read by Lamar on the bubble. Yeah, could have been that RPO bubble screen play. I don't know, but yeah. And like you said, here's the thing. It's hard to keep an identity in this league because this league is week to week. Not the same stuff is not going to work every single week. It's not. It's really not. So this week, for example, the short stuff was working and the runs were working, and that's what you want. Some other games that we've seen the Ravens play this year, they've had time in the pocket and they've been able to hit those chunk plays down the middle for 20 yards, 15 yards on the inside post patterns or crossing routes or out routes or whatever. But this one, the short stuff was working because the offensive line simply just wasn't able to hold up enough for Mac, which is fine. So stay with what works. And you've got to realize and have the open mind when you go to each game in the season that different stuff is going to work each week. So roll with the stuff that's working on the fly. The best teams are able to make adjustments on the fly and keep the sustainability going for their offense. Whatever that's doing, running, passing, it doesn't matter. That's just how you adjust. It's what you got to do, especially as we get to the December football and get our way closer to January. Because you're not going to be able to go. Rarely can you come into a game with a game plan and it works 100%. Rarely. So you need to make sure you've got the flexibility to switch up your play calls and roll with what's working, even if it means to disband some of the plays out of your playbook that you're ready to do. Don't get cute. Just use what's working. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say about the offense. Because they, like we said, both of us have said we had a nice rhythm early on. I thought we did.
Yeah.
It looked pretty good.
I mean, things were working. Things were consistent. Guys were making catches.
Yeah, guys were making catches. Chains were moving. And it really all started to go downhill after that Harbaugh missed challenge. And then they did Wildcat with Gus Edwards and got stonewalled. I mean, a terrible play call, first of all. Sorry, go on a side note. But how do you run Wildcat when you got Lamar Jackson and you've got – just run it with Edwards normally or give it to Lamar and he does those QB sweeps or QB draws or whatever. Don't do Wildcat when you've got one of the most electrifying running quarterbacks in the NFL. That was a stupid play in my opinion. It really was. But first, it shouldn't have even existed because Harbaugh should have challenged and got the first down. But who am I to say?
I mean, yeah, but I also feel as though there were horrible spots by the refs. Refs did not have a good game last night. Even us to say, I feel like there was a couple of missed calls that we had that were just on us. I know you saw the kick return stuff from Justice Hill. That probably should have been a call.
That was a personal foul, yeah.
Yeah, and then the late hit on Herbert. I mean, it was pretty close. But a lot of people were saying that should have been a call.
That should have
There were
been a
some
flag.
calls.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
and there were some calls on us, and refs were just they refs did not have a great game last night. The officiating last night was actually pretty terrible. I would have
Yeah.
to say, like horrible spots. Like it was clear as day that Nelson Aguilar had that first down. I don't know. I don't know if eyes are deceiving me, but it was right there. So what was Nelson Aguilar's over under last night? Because maybe the rest were just trying to play for the sports bettors. Because I don't know exactly what that was about. But yeah, it was just horrible officiating. I feel like Harbaugh shouldn't have really been in that position to begin with, in my opinion. But if I am Harbaugh, I'm throwing out the challenge flag, and I'm like, listen, we have a first down.
Yeah.
I don't know what y'all doing.
I mean, you've got that for a reason. Use it. If it's clear as day, use the damn flag. I don't
I
take
don't know. He would
anything
have
for
won
granted.
both. Yeah, he would
I
have won
feel
both
like
easily.
on some of those, I really feel like on some of those, Harbaugh was like, oh, I think it's a first down, but I don't feel like doing the challenge, so let's just run a fourth down play. We'll get it anyway. And you didn't get it. So, I mean, use the flag and get the yards.
Just use the
Nothing's
flag.
a given.
Man.
Nothing's a given. You got to do that in the playoffs. All right? Every yard matters actually, right now is kind of playoff time. December, January, those are what I call playoff months. That's where the nitty-gritty comes down to the wire. This is where the playoff seeding is determined. So you need to make sure you use everything you can to your advantage. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they were doing, but they escaped and found a way to win on offense, just enough at the end. Well, real quick before I talk about the defense, Zay Flowers at the end of the game, second touchdown of the game, first multi-touchdown game as a Ravens receiver. That was cool to see. But I'll be honest, if this is a playoff game, you got to go down. You got to go down because you just never know what's going to happen, especially with the spotty special teams that we have. And if the Chargers were to get a touchdown off of deep pass quick, we would have had to recover an onside kick, which we haven't done consistently this year. So I know and I think that's the rookie setting in, and he's excited for his yards and his touchdowns. But I personally, and I said this to my family while we were watching the game, you got to go down right there. Take the sure win, because I guess it's fine because it's regular season and the defense ended up stopping them anyway. But if that's like Kansas City or something in a playoff game, you go down, you take the knee, and you get out of there with a win. So it was okay because it was the Chargers. They're not very good, but you got to be smart about that in the future. What do you think?
I agree.
But great, hell of a play by Zay Flowers, though. Your speed and not drop the ball because the exchange looked a little bit weird.
Yeah, I know it was. I think it was supposed to be like a read option play. I mean, they ran the play like 3 times already, and I guess with Zay in the backfield, I guess he just kept it, and I guess it was a good call. But I agree in those situations because if we're playing like these top teams, like the Chiefs, if we're playing the Niners, if we're playing the Eagles, you got to get down to the ground. Like if the time permits, we have to secure the win. The win is all that matters at the end of the day. I am happy that he was able to have his first multi-touchdown game in the U.S. He got his first touchdown in the U.S. His first touchdown came in London against the Titans. So it was good to see that he had his first multi-touchdown game, and he had his first touchdown in the U.S. But, yeah, we got to get down to that ground, especially against these elite teams, because if we lead Mahomes over a minute with just a 10-point lead, that I'm not trusting that. So I would have went down to the ground, secured that win, called it a dub. Because wins in this league are not easy. And it doesn't matter who you're playing, doesn't matter if that record is 1-10, 2-9, 3-8, whatever. You get the dub and you secure it. So I am happy for Zay. But Zay, next time, bro, slide down and let's get out of here. Let's get out of LA with the win. We still got out of LA with the win, but
yeah. Thankfully, the defense stepped up again and got a stop on 4th and 19, so that was good. But we haven't seen that too much. Remember the Cardinals game? They got hot in the 4th quarter and started scoring on every single drive.
Literally.
So in game, you just never know. It's never know. I mean, sure, it was likely the Ravens were going to win, but you never know.
Never know.
So good. Hats off to Zay. Great game from him. Good clutch touchdowns, but yeah, just next time maybe don't slide down. Maybe slide down in the fourth quarter if it's a playoff game. Special teams. I've said this now every week, and I even touched on it last week or yesterday or Saturday when we did our pregame show. We are going to have a long video in the bye week this upcoming weekend when the Ravens aren't playing about this special teams unit. There is something wrong with it. It's not. Special teams used to be automatic for this team, and now it's like holding your breath over every single thing they do. I'm holding my breath when they punt the ball. I'm holding my breath when they kick a field goal. And Devin Duvernay's punt returns, they don't do anything. Is he hurt? I mean, and I know he was on the injury report last week, but all season I've been saying this. He looks slow, and he doesn't look like he's confident in the run lanes. I mean, aside from that one, it was like a long one, I haven't seen much at all in the return game at all. So you just kind of wonder what's going on special teams. And Justin Tucker, there's definitely something off with him this year. I mean, the kicks just look weird. They look very low. It's like he's line driving it every single time. And that might be why. And I've said this before. It's easier to block when you kick it really low. All the defenders have to do is jump up like they're doing jumping jacks, and you get a hand on it, and it's no good. I mean, and he missed from 44 yards on an ugly hook. That was another knuckleball straight down or another line drive that just hooked way left. So I don't know if it's the holder, if it's the long snapper. I just don't know. But the hold looked fine to me. I mean, Jordan Stout put it down nicely. Maybe you're seeing something differently, but that there is no fluidity in the special teams unit anymore, and it is not right now. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to try to be respectful here because Justin Tucker is one of the greats. Right now, it is definitely not automat tuck at all for anything we do field goal rise. And I know he's still great, but this year it's weird looking. It really is. And again, no field goals made over 50 yards at all. They're either blocked or wide right or left. I mean, it's a concern. We've seen special teams lose games in the playoffs. Green Bay Packers, for example, just an atrocious special teams performance in that upset by the Niners a few years ago when they were the 1 seed. They got a punt blocked and they missed 2 field goals and they lost 13-10. I don't want that to happen to us because there's going to be a lot of I feel like there's going to be a lot of instances in the playoffs this year, if we make it, where it's going to be games like this, where the offense is struggling, the defense is carrying, and every yard comes at a premium. Points come at a premium as well. So I don't know, and we'll deep dive this over the weekend. I don't want to go too much into it right now. Save some content for the weekend, but it's concerning. It really is. I don't know what it is with the special teams, but it's an issue. It really is.
Yeah, it hasn't really been consistent as we are used to with Tucker. I don't know exactly what the issue is. I mean, I know our long snapper went down before the season started. I don't know if it's that. I don't know. This is uncharted territory for Ravens fans when it comes to having to question what exactly Tucker is doing. Because like you said, he's usually automat tuck. Like it's just what he is. It's what he does. So he's known as the greatest kicker of all time. So when you take that in consideration, it's like he kicks 40s in his sleep. Like, and I was watching the game last night, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll take the 16-10 lead, and then it's like, it's wide right, and I'm like, Tucker, what are we doing out here? Like, and it's not the first time. It's not the first time this year, and it's a little alarming. But I feel like he saved our skin so many times. It gets to the point where it's like, I feel like if anybody on the team should get some grace, it should be him, because again, he saved our butt so many times I lost count. So, I mean, like you said, he's one of the Ravens greats. He's one of the Ravens legends. But I really need, and we'll get into this during our, bye week synopsis and all that stuff. But I really need Tucker to like take this bye week. I need him to. He's probably one of the main dudes who probably needs some rest, refocus, regroup, because this later half of the season, we're gonna need him. We're gonna need consistency in those kicks. We're gonna need consistency with the field goals. The special teams as a whole, like you said, needs to just regroup, recollect, and take this bye week to really like get back in sync, because it hasn't looked good this year. And I don't know what's going on with Drew either. I felt like he had one or two decent returns this year, and that's been about it. Like, there hasn't really been much consistency with that either. So I'm hoping that this bye week is going to be good for the whole special teams as a whole. And then when we get back, they're refreshed and ready to go for the Rams. But yeah, like you said, it's hard to believe Tucker has been, I'm not going to say he's been struggling, but it's been weird to see him not hit these gimmies that we're used to him hitting. It's a little weird, but I think knowing Tucker, he'll bounce back. And I feel like he's in tune to have a great way to, he's in line to have a great end of the season.
And that just puts more pressure on the offense. If we can't hit field goals from 50 yards or longer, or even a 45 isn't a gimme anymore, I mean, it just puts that much more pressure on the offense. And we really need a sure 3 points in these situations, because I have a feeling, newsflash, it's not going to be 37 points in the playoffs, I don't think, in my opinion. Maybe they prove me wrong and they blow people out. That'd be great. But I don't think it's going to be nitty-gritty. It's going to be 20 to 13 games. It's going to be 23 to 20 games, like gross scores where there's a lot of field goals, and we need to iron out the protection. And I don't know. We'll get into that this week. Maybe it's the blocking. Maybe it's something Tucker's doing. Maybe it's the long snapper. We'll get into it. But that's got to get cleaned up ASAP, because we need all three phases of this team to play well down the stretch, because you don't want to be missing game-winning field goals from 50 yards out or 45 yards out due to just sloppy execution. You can't, especially when one of the greats, when it's Justin Tucker. So, yeah, agreed. Yeah, he's bailed us out many times over the years. But, we're not asking him to make 65-yarders every game. We just want to make the 45-yarders, the 50-yarders. I mean, he used to make those in his sleep, too. I mean, it'd be one thing if we were kicking 65 yards every single week, but we're not. We're not asking him to really kick too much over 50. I mean, we haven't attempted a field goal over 50 yards in a while. So, I don't know. Go figure. But it scares me a little bit, and I hope they clean it up.
Agreed.
But anyway, defensively, great job. Thank you for bailing us out. They played the best they could. Oh, sorry. Did you have a thought you wanted to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to jump straight into the defense, but as you were saying, yeah.
Yeah, and yes, they gave up a touchdown, but that's because the offense was doing that stupid stuff again, where they get a nice turnover, and they go 3 and out, waste 1 minute, and punt it away. They were tired. They were on the field since 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and then they got it back with 12 minutes, and then the Ravens took 12 to 11 minutes in the fourth, and they were right back on the field. They were dog tired, and Herbert ran for 40 yards on one play. So, I mean, you couldn't. My family was getting mad at their defense, and I'm like, you can't get mad at this defense. They've allowed 3 points the whole game. They got a turnover last drive, and the offense went 1 minute and punted away. And then they were yelling at the defense for not getting to stop. And I'm like, they're tired. They've been on the field for like 10 minutes straight. They got half a minute off for a break, and then they're already back on the field. Thankfully, the next drive, the Ravens offense drove it down before the Tucker miss. They wasted 6 minutes, so they got some sort of a rest to get rejuvenated. But yeah, that's about it. Everything else was pretty good. They didn't get to Herbert consistently at times, but they threw off his timing enough in the clutch plays to, shut down the Chargers in the red zone. Jadeveon Clowney, beautiful sack. And then, like I said earlier, Arthur Millette screaming off the edge on the cover zero blitz. gets to Herbert instantly. He just looked like Sonic the Hedgehog shot of a cannon right there. I mean, just instant pressure. That's what you want to see on a cover zero. That's a cover zero blitz. Instant pressure in half a second. Not instant pressure in 3 seconds, instant pressure in a millisecond, which is what we weren't used to with Wink Martindale, but that's a whole other story. So, yeah, great job, defense. Secondary didn't get beat too bad, but the only criticism I'll have was Keenan Allen just destroyed us. I mean, he had
Yeah.
another double-digit catch game, 100 yards. They really didn't have a consistent answer for him. I mean, Herbert just kept throwing it to him over and over and over again. Eckler didn't do much, so good job on Eckler. That was one of our keys to the game. And he fumbled. But you can't really complain about this defensive effort. I mean, other than the Keenan Allen thing and the one touchdown because they were tired, but they also forced 4 turnovers. So, yeah, hats off to them. Good job.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue against that. It's they played great all game. I mean, it's like you said, Keenan Allen did towards. It's like the guys we said to worry about in the pregame show were like the guys who kind of like were trying their best effort. Like Eckler, he rushed 10. He had 10 carries for 32 yards, and then he had he had 5 receptions for 32 yards. So we finished the game with 64 total yards, which, but man, Keenan Allen, like he finished with 106, 14 receptions. Like he was tearing us up. And we talked about that in the pregame show. Keenan Allen is no scrub. Like he's one of the better pass catchers in this league, and he proved it last night because Justin Herbert said, F it, Keenan Allen going to do something with it, and he did it. So you got to give hats off to Keenan Allen. He's definitely he's one of the greats of our league currently. Yeah, it's just defensively we had Herbert. I mean, other than the 36-yard run, well, I'm not gonna lie, made me kind of mad. I was like, we're letting Herbie, and I did say like we have to make sure we contain Herbert in the pregame show because he's big, he's tough to bring down, and it was hard for us to get to him at that point. But that 36-yard run is kind of what gave them that momentum for that touchdown, and it's kind of hard for the defense to have the energy to do that when the drive beforehand didn't really take off much clock. Like the offense is out there, 3 and out, quick 3 and out, punt it away, and that was GG's. So I think defensively they definitely showed out. They didn't fold under pressure. Roquan said it best. If they don't score, they don't win. And after they scored that touchdown, and then the defense came back out, he said, let's go out there and let's get this stop. And they got the crucial stop they needed. Arthur Millette comes in with that pressure, great clutch pressure on Herbert to ice the game, basically. He also had a pick, too. I know it was like a garbage time end of half pick, but a pick nonetheless.
Yeah.
But defense, my only thing, and this is kind of going back towards the offense, if the defense gets you 4 turnovers, we'll say 3 turnovers because I feel like the pick probably shouldn't count because that was the end of the half. But if the defense gets you 3 or more turnovers, you have to capitalize. Like that's a defense that's working hard, trying to get you in the best position to win, and that's what the Ravens defense tried to do last night. Like we have multiple forced fumbles, and these are the forced fumbles on their key guys, like Keenan Allen, fumble, Austin Eckler, fumble, Herbert, fumble. These are their key guys not holding on to the ball, and the defense clutches up like that. You have and this is what we have been talking about consistently: complementary football, and it's like they've shown flashes of that, but this game was not the best version of that. Because if we're getting 3 turnovers equating that's a point per turnover. And that's not how we win games. So the defense came out, they showed up, and they played great. But if the offense is not complimentary of that, we're not gonna we escape this one. If we do this against the good teams, and this is not the trash Chargers, they've had very unfortunate bad luck with injuries. They haven't been able to stay healthy consistently. So this isn't to say they're a bad team. But, if this was like a Mahomes or if this was Burrow or if this is like Allen, who knows how this game would have went. So we have to make sure if the defense is doing its job and getting you the ball back in clutch situations, you have to go down there and get something. You cannot come out empty-handed multiple times after multiple turnovers. That's unacceptable. You have to get back down there, and you have to at least, if not 3, get 7. Ice the game. Like, there's multiple times. This game should not have been close.
I
Like,
agree.
we should have at least put up 30. Like, this game should not have been close with the turnovers that we had. The Chargers were not taking care of the football. And this is probably one of the better games we've had of taking care of the football. We had one fumble. We didn't lose it. But, like, other than that, like, we took care of the football. Like, if we're doing that consistently, if the defense is getting us off the field, there's no reason why we should have only had 13 going into the fourth quarter, in my opinion. So defense, great job. Hopefully continue that effort. But offense, you have to do better at being able to get down the field and score. Monken has – I think there's still some soul searching to do with this offense. It's definitely not perfect right out of the gate still. But again, this is that time of the season where it's you need some sort of consistency on all 3 phases of the ball, like you said. We'll get into that, of course, for our bye week synopsis. But great game by the defense throughout, keeping Herbert contained for the most part. He didn't really have he was only at 217 for the game. 1 touchdown, 1 pick. So great job by the defense for keeping us in this and not folding, because, boy, I was scared in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, this game was completely different than what I thought it was going to – what we said was
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, we thought it was going to be a high-scoring game, but honestly, the defense is dominated. I mean, Herbert and the offense, they scored 38-plus points in a few games this year, only held to 10. And the Ravens' offense against a really not good Chargers defense only put up 19 or 20. So you really very defensive game. So we've been talking a lot about the negatives and things to fix. So before we get out of here, I'll give us a little bit of a positive spin on how it went. This, like I said earlier in my intro, this looked like a game we were going to lose. I mean, it just looked like the Colts game. It looked like the Steelers game. And you had that vibe at the end when the Chargers were about to receive the football back that they're going to go down in the field and either force overtime or score a touchdown. But hats off to the defense for getting that clutch fourth quarter stop, something that we haven't done recently. And the good news about this game is the Ravens demonstrated they can put the game away in the fourth quarter. It wasn't a meltdown. They were able to put the team away, all by on a day where it wasn't pretty on offense. But the defense stepped up when it needed to and buried the Chargers, locked them in the basement, threw the key away. And that's what you want to do in January, okay? Because not every game is going to be like the Bengals game where you score 34 points and it's 34-13 in the fourth quarter. Or the Lions game where it's 40 or 37-3. Or that was the Seahawks game. I don't even remember the score because it was so long ago. It was a blowout. It was a blowout is what I'm saying. Or like the Cleveland game, 28-3 against DTR. So it's good to know that even on a bad day at the office, the Ravens were still able to fix the fourth quarter woes and put the game out of reach, which is what you're going to have to do come December and January. Okay, there's hardly any blowouts in the playoffs. So that's a good thing to see, because that's the kind of games they lose all the time, where their offense is stagnant. They can't close the game. They were able to close the game yesterday, even though they missed a field goal. The defense bailed them out, and then the offense was able to put the game away. Because how many times would we see the defense get a stop, offense returns the ball back, 3-and-out punt, and then a loss, right? So it was really nice to see Zay Flowers escape that third down and get a touchdown and ice the game. That was what, even though we already said we'd rather have him slide down next time, but the offense was able to seal the deal. And that's something we haven't seen this year. When it's close in the fourth quarter, they usually choke. So
it's something we haven't seen in a while.
Right.
So,
Browns game, they were up 14. They ended up losing. Steelers game, they were up in the fourth, 10-3. Then they got their punt blocked, and all hell broke loose. Colts game, they were down most of the game. They took the lead, and then they lost it in overtime. So it's good to see them win that type of game, because that's the kind of games you're going to have to win, these dog fights, these scrap fests. So it's a good demonstration to show the world that they can do it. They can put them away. I know it's, but that offense is not terrible. They looked terrible yesterday at times. So, but they're not. That's a good offense. That team is in shambles because of their defense, in my opinion. But not last night. But anyway, that's a good way to positive spin on it. And now we go into the bye week with that little bit of fourth quarter confidence. And Harbaugh said in his press conference the game was won in the fourth quarter. It was stale in the third quarter.
It was.
And yeah, they were able to put it away. That was very, very good. Only good thing about last night. No fourth quarter meltdown. They isolated.
And that's something that we're going to have to make sure we're consistently doing in this later half of the season, because again, this stretch of games is not easy. And if we show the ability to be able to put away games, we will be just fine. And we did that last night. The team did not fold. They didn't let the discouragements get to them. They went in. Defense got them the ball back. Offense went here and iced it. That's literally all we asked for, and they got it done. So it is good to see that the team was able to do that. I'm just hoping that they can do that for the rest of the year, because it ain't going to be easy to finish this out.
Right. And this win puts Baltimore up at 9-3, back atop the AFC, even though the Jaguars barely won against Houston. Unfortunately,
that was a good game.
The tying kick hit the crossbar and no good.
Yeah.
And then Miami, again, I can't really evaluate them because they keep playing dog crap opponents. And next week they play the Commanders. So they're going to be right up there with Baltimore atop the AFC with a cakewalk schedule. Somebody needs to take them down.
Yeah, the Chiefs have a cakewalk schedule too. So that doesn't really help our case.
The Raiders jumped out to a 14-0 lead, and that looked great.
Raiders cannot consistently beat them. I don't understand what the problem is. Like, they'll jump ahead in the game, and then they'll have a meltdown. I don't understand what the problem is with this Raiders team.
Are we
not being able to beat them?
Though?
No, we're not. We're not shocked, but I don't know what else to tell them at that point. Like, they were up 14-0.
That says more about Kansas City than it says more about Las Vegas Raiders. They're always going to be Oakland Raiders in my eyes. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, Kansas City wasn't going to lose that. I mean, Kansas City we know isn't as strong as usual this year, but they're not going to lose to the Raiders. No. They've already lost to the Broncos. They're not going to lose to any more of those teams. Yeah, they already played the Broncos twice. They get to play Las Vegas one more time at the end of the year. They do have a matchup with the Bills coming up, so go Bills. Go Bills. We need the Bills to win.
I don't know if I trust that. Oh, gosh.
Speaking of the Bills, oh, my gosh. I watched that entire game. That was a super long football game. That was almost a 4-hour game. It was like 3 hours and 30 or 40 minutes. Yeah, I don't know how you regroup after that if you're a Bills fan, because you literally gave everything you got to go in there and pull off the upset on the Eagles, and you still come away with the loss. And I know the refs screwed you, and I get that. But that just makes it hurt even more. Because Allen had a guy wide open. Gabe Davis was wide open in the end zone in overtime, and just a miscommunication on one of their parts. I don't know who it was. Got a chance, took it down the field, and got a touchdown and won. And now they're going into the bye week at 6-6. And when they return, they got to play the Chiefs. So, yeah, I know the Bills sort of got themselves together after that Jets game, but it might be a little too late for them because they got a gauntlet of games to come back, to return to after the bye. I mean, they screwed around and lost to the Broncos. They lost to the Bengals, where the offense looked bad. They fired Ken Dorsey, and they look like they're back on track. But now it might be a little too late because you've got Kansas City, Dallas, a couple other good teams I can't think of at the moment. But it's Miami again. So you just kind of wonder if it's too little, too late for the Bills. But we'll be rooting for them when they come back against those Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like they had the overtime rules changed for Josh Allen, and he's 0-6 in overtime. Like I don't know, I don't know what else. I don't know what else you need, Josh. Like if that's not good, I'll be rooting for them, but I don't know because Josh Allen against these other QBs it just doesn't pan out. Like he's beaten two already, which is fair, but other than that, it's just like Burrow's out. But it's still Burrow, Mahomes. Like it's just the Bills have. I think the Bills just have to do some soul searching too. They're not my team, so I'm not going to give them too much advice. But but other than that, like they have some soul searching to do because losing that game, that should have been the Eagles. The Eagles should have a second loss.
Great.
The Eagles should have a second loss, and they choked that badly. And the Eagles on the first possession, their first possession of overtime, go down, and Jalen Hurts steals it with a rushing touchdown, which stinks for my fantasy, by the way. But it's just, that's not good. So, Josh, if you're going against Mahomes, remember the playoff game a little while ago. Use that as your motivation. Get the dub, please.
Yeah, and the road ahead for Baltimore, they've got to. The good news is we get a shot at these teams. We get a shot at Jacksonville. We get a shot at Miami at home that we really need to win because I'm tired of them winning. Tua looks sloppy with the football right now. He's throwing a lot of picks. So this is a chance for us to stamp our mark on them. So we'll see. Their luck will run out eventually if they keep playing like that. They're not going to be playing the Jets every week. I know they play the Commanders on Sunday, and that's probably going to be another win, even though maybe Sam Howell will pull off an upset. We'll see. But probably not. But yeah, it's getting tight around the AFC. It really is. Jacksonville, they've got to play the Bengals next Monday. Once a super tough matchup, now it looks like it's going to be an auto win with Jake Brown at quarterback. So, speaking of Brown, Jake Browning almost got it done. He fought his ass off yesterday against the Steelers. I thought he was trying his best he could, and they just fell short by 6. So again, the stupid Steelers pull off another victory where they look like crap in, and they go to 7-4. But yeah, whatever. They're excited. That's their first 400-yard game on offense
since 2020.
So
since 2020.
They still only scored 16, so you can't get too happy. But their road ahead is easy too. So the Ravens' margin for error, even though they're sitting really good right now at 9-3, is still very low because, I mean, these other teams just have easy schedules. I mean, Pittsburgh's got Cardinals next week. Then they've got Colts, who might be a decent game. And then they also have Patriots. I mean, come on. And then they've got more AFC North ball with the Bengals. Again, that's probably going to be another win. So we might have to play them again at the last game of the season for playoff positioning or the division maybe if they keep winning.
It's going to be a tight race. I mean, 4 teams right now, us, Jacksonville, Miami, Chiefs are all tied. Well, technically we have the lead. We have the one up, but after this weekend, who knows? So it could go either way. This is going to be a tight race. This is why the Ravens have to continue to click because it's not going to get any easier from here. Everybody else pretty much has an easier road except us. So we have to stay sharp and stay focused. I feel like they're still locked in. They're not gonna let the record get to them. But after the bye, we'll get healthy, we'll regroup, and I think we'll be ready for these last couple of games. Hold on, guys. Can't hear you. You went out. Your volume went out.
Yeah, sorry. I had a low battery thing up here on my phone. Massive games coming up. LA when we come back. The Rams. Then Jacksonville on Sunday Night Football. Going to be huge. So yeah, road ahead's tough, but I think this team can get over the hump. They're going to get healthy, like you said, over the bye. Come out swinging in December. We are officially in December football. When the Ravens return, it'll be December the 10th. And it's time to ball. It's time to ball, baby. Last thing I'm going to say, thank you, Broncos country. You definitely rode on Sunday. They took care of business against the Browns, dropping them to 7-4, which is great. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Denver. We appreciate you. So now we need the LA Rams to do the same thing next Sunday because that's who they play. So we're rooting for the NFC West a little bit because that's playing our division. The Rams playing the Browns, like I said, and the Cardinals are playing the Steelers. So go Birds, go Rams. That's who we'll be paying attention to on the bye week Sunday. So yeah, it's getting interesting now. I'd really like the 1 seed. I'd really like the 1 seed if we could keep winning. So just a little bit of help from those guys would be nice.
Would be nice. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. Oh man, almost playoff football.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. We're happy it's a victory Monday. Even though it was a little bit of a rocky game, they pulled it out. They demonstrated they can pull it out in the fourth quarter, close the game, which is great, which is what you want to see when we get to December. So hopefully they can continue that trend of closing games and just sharpen up on offense a little bit, and they should be fine. About to go. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining. Tom's got any last little messages to the crowd before we get up on out here?
Oh man, good win. Well, right, ugly win, but a win nonetheless. We just have to make sure we're staying sharp. Let's stay sharp and let's try to finish off this season strong. And yeah, just a good team win. Let's just regroup and get healthy this bye week.
Agreed. Rest up, get back in the building a week from today, and get ready for the Rams. Justin Tucker, please rest. Please rest. Please rest. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in on this Monday morning. Well, now it's afternoon because it's 12. We enjoyed it. It was a stressful game. Glad we pulled it out. Yeah, that's all I got to say. This will be going on YouTube. Please leave a like and a subscription if you enjoyed. We're on the road to 50. Please share it with as much people as you can. Please share. The road ahead for us, we're going to have some sort of a bye week special next weekend. We don't know exactly what we're doing yet, but we'll keep you posted. It'll be maybe a guest who would come on. That'd be a nice surprise. So we'll see. We'll keep you updated. Guys, thanks again for joining. This is Dom and Gonz. We're going to be signing out. Have a great week, everybody, and go Ravens.